we won't have all the answers for our children. We won't do things perfectly. That's just going to happen. And then as a husband and wife, like, it's a continual growth process. It is one step at a time where, I learn what I may have not have done correctly before, and I try to improve on that. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're excited for you to be here. We talked a lot about some different topics, from comparisons, which is really cool because our pastor's wife, she taught, today's Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to everybody. That is a mother, not everybody. She just talked about some things, how mothers compare and stuff, and it was kind of neat because I know Paula had talked about some stuff about that, and about on the last video. So that was kind of cool. Another thing is we actually have, ready, look, hands-free. Exciting for me because I don't have to be all
on up in the world.
But at the same time, I do like, I'm working on ways to make it more, not eye-catching, it's not the right word, but just engaging, that's the right word. The other big thing is, for those of you who watch or know or don't know Gary Vaynerchuk, he has these videos called Trash Talk, where he goes out and actually buys and sells and flips garage sale items and whatnot. And I actually got a hold of a couple who does it full, I almost said full term. Full time. Like yeah, full time, not full term. That's just weird.
Like it pays their
it's
bills?
What they, it like, pays their bills. That's all they do. They actually have hired like they've hired 2 people actually as well.
Okay.
To help them, and that way, so that kind of goes into what we wanted to talk about, which was imperfect progress. So since you were the one that kind of mentioned to me about this topic, what were you wanting to kind of talk about with imperfect progress?
Well, you mentioned a book, I think in our first video, the Man Up book.
Yes.
Is that where you first saw it from?
Yeah, and it was that one, and on my trip, they talked a lot about imperfect progress.
Okay, so I think that's what really stood out to me, just with this whole, like, the past couple of years of self-improvement. I think a lot of people can relate to this. I'm the person, like, if I'm not all in, I'll just give up. And that's like the worst mindset to be in. I can give another example. I have a friend who was starting this diet with her other friend. For 2 weeks was doing this diet and then just stopped because it was too much.
No convicting
anybody. I guess I should go back on this. If you want to lose weight, but you can't necessarily, it would be too shocking to change your diet, just cut out one thing. Cut out, for instance, soda. Like I never drank too much soda, but in college and when I was working at a restaurant, occasionally I would drink soda. But when I cut it out completely, I noticed a weight change, and that was just one thing. That wasn't me changing like carbs or anything like that. So when you want to reach a goal, you have to start small. If you're the person that needs to start small, then do that. And then when you mess up, it's not hard to get back on track. And also with the imperfect progress, like with me with working out, there are some weeks where I'm very consistent with it, like 100%, like I'll get all my 4 days in, and there's some weeks where I only do like 1 day, and it's easy for me to get down on myself and be like,
just not go anymore. Yeah,
it's not worth it because I'm never gonna reach the goal that I want because I'm so back and forth. But I have to keep telling myself, no, even if I get 1 day a week in, that's better than 0 days. And then the next week I have a whole nother week to try to, be consistent again. And I'm just taking it one step at a time. And I'm doing a lot of things, actually. A lot of things that involve progress. And
you're a teacher.
Yeah, and we're trying, my teammate and I are trying to improve our department. And something that was said was, how do you eat a whole elephant? 1 bite at a time. And
I've heard that a lot.
I've heard that a lot, but it just really stuck with me, probably because these past 2 years, all I've been doing is trying to improve myself, trying to improve how I talk to people, trying to improve how I am as a wife and as a mom, trying to improve myself, physically and mentally and spiritually. and it can get really overwhelming. But the key is to remember, imperfect progress is better than no progress. And how do you eat an entire elephant? One bite at a time. And our society is so much into that instant gratification that it actually keeps us from moving forward, and it shoots us in the foot, and then we become ungrateful. We become ungrateful for the progress that we've made. So that's just something that's been really standing out.
It's your spill.
Yeah. Bye. I'm done.
Well, and I think the easiest way to explain this is, even from my side, is, so I've mentioned some guys. I recommend going and listening to them. The Roommates podcast, really fun guys. Listen to really cool interviews from Ben Shapiro, artists like Andy Mineo, people from the Breakfast Club. I bring them up because Hafiz, who is the kind of the producer of the show, has been the one person who really pushed me to just make videos, giving me advice, helping me with it, helping me figure out kind of what to talk about and that nature. So I didn't want to do anything. I was like, oh, I have to have it perfect. I have to know how to record. I have to know how to do lighting. I have to do all these things. And I just had to, let it go and just realize that, look, I have to just start. And so it was really just taking one step at a time. And I've seen progress. I think I've seen some videos that I've seen an upward trend, and I was like, that was not as good, but then up again. And then I think it's figuring out how to make it more entertaining and catchy and things of that nature. But I realized I had to just start and do something. So one of my steps was just doing the video, just starting it. And then by doing that, I realized, okay, I need to improve on this. And then I was able to improve on another thing. So like she's saying, just one step at a time. Even if it's not perfect, you can still take one step of, okay, let me do this today. Kind of towards the flipping that I'm doing is I had to realize I don't know what I'm doing. So the step that I took was to get advice from somebody instead of just not doing it at all. And it's too overwhelming, or our finances. Yeah. People get overwhelmed with your finances. It's just one small step at a time. Dave Ramsey talks about the snowball effect. Just take your smallest bill, knock it off. It's just one step at a time, and you have to be okay. And even with imperfect progress, it goes into failure. Would you say that with imperfect progress, failure does come at times?
Oh yeah, well, that's the whole imperfect part of it. Yeah.
It's exactly. So it's to give more of a relational side of me. I grew up from a past that was full of failures, from father failing, just all kinds of stuff. And I realized that my outlook was, and you told me this, that if it looks like it's not going to succeed, then I just don't even touch it.
Yeah, you'll see something that looks good.
When I see something that could be and could have potential or does have potential, as soon as I see the downward trend of it or I can't see the end result, I automatically quit, because it's this idea that there's failure at the end of it. Because if I don't know the end result, I won't touch it, which is completely pointless because you never know the end result to anything.
Yeah, and then you get upset because you feel like you've never accomplished anything.
So I feel like a failure, and it's just this automatic loop. Sorry.
The Subtle Art book talks about that.
Yeah, so The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. That book talks about the infinite loop of, I don't know, it didn't say death, but...
It's an infinite loop, yeah, infinite, I can't even talk.
So I was stating about the idea that you get stuck in a loop, and we have to learn that we can't look at it as failure, and that's where I was coming from. So, I've started to do these videos, I started to understand that it doesn't have to be perfect, but just to give people's perspective so they know, so yeah, just take it one step at a time. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're gonna mess up. There's gonna be times where you don't do it perfectly right, but it's what you do after that, how you learn from those mistakes. From the point of, even with kids, so we usually come with a perspective of a mother and a father. So as a father and a mother, we won't have all the answers for our children. We won't do things perfectly. That's just going to happen. And then as a husband and wife, it's a continual growth process. It is one step at a time where, I learn what I may have not have done correctly before, and I try to improve on that. We love each other. So just keep improving on what you're doing. Take it one step at a time. don't get overwhelmed. Don't feel like that just because you don't have the answers all together right away that you can't start it. And in all of that, a lot of stuff comes because you have other ideas, and you start worrying. You start worrying about what other people think. You start to think people are looking down on you, or you're not good enough, and you are. So whoever's watching this, just know that, like she said, it's one bite at a time. You know, if the elephant / project, whatever it is huge, just take your time. Don't get frustrated in it. Just work on it, and know that it's okay to fail. I'm learning that. It's not easy. And that you will make it in time with practice and overcoming and endurance, as well as the grace of God. So I hope you'll have an amazing week this week. Again, happy Mother's Day. And learn to tell whoever's in your life, just let them know that, you know, it's okay to make mistakes and that you're there for them. Y'all have a great weekend. Thanks, guys.